Hi everyone, it's Mads from Denim and Blether, and I'm here with Doug Aldrich from the Dead Daisies. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thanks for coming out here on the top of this mountain.
So we're here at the Rock and Blues Custom Show in the UK. How is it to be back here?
It's awesome. It was, it's cooled off quite a bit today. It was, we were sweating it out all summer, and I was thinking about, it's going to be great to get to the UK. It's going to be so cool, but when we got here into the UK, it was really hot, like you guys have had a heat wave. And today's the first day, I think, for a while that it's cooled off, and it's really nice.
So you've been playing some amazing shows in Europe, but there was one in particular in Estonia with a certain band. How was that?
Yeah, Guns N' Roses. It was awesome. It was it was a beautiful day and a great venue. I don't know how many people, probably, I think there was 60-something thousand. And they were very kind to us. They gave us the full stage to use, so we were able to, use they call it an ego ramp, that ramp in the front. So we could use that, and we had a great show. We were pumped, because on this tour we've been jumping from some bigger stages with like them and Scorpions to clubs, to theaters, whatever. And so that was great. We had a good time, and we stuck around for about half at GNR. They were slamming.
So you've been touring the new album Burn It Down for a while now. How's the album gone down with your fans, do you think?
I think it's good. I mean, the sales have been really productive and positive. We charted really well when it came out. I don't know where the record is now, but it's still selling, and we're still getting radio ads and I think it's Planet Rock just released a new single for it's Dead and Gone, the song Dead and Gone, and it's getting regular rotation with them, and so we're really happy about it. We've been very lucky and fortunate.
And you've played with many amazing acts like Dio and Whitesnake, but how does being in the Dead Daisies compare to what you've done before?
It's got similarities, and it's really different too, where with Dio, it was kind of a band situation where Ronnie would say, okay, everyone's going to come to my house, we're going to write, and we'd spend all day writing together, and then we would do a demo, and we would do a lot of things as a band. With Whitesnake, it was more kind of just David and I doing the work. Not that we weren't trying to leave anybody out, it was just that we had a really productive run going, and I think it was hard to keep up with what David and I were doing for some of the, for some of the guys in the band. They were off doing other gigs and stuff, whereas I was focused 100% on Whitesnake, so it was mostly David and I, and then the band would come together for a tour, and we would have once in a while band dinners and stuff, but we wouldn't really hang that much, With the Dead Daisies, we hang all the time. I mean, we're all friends for years and years, either from other bands or from I've known John since we were kids, like in grade school, and we get along great, and we there's always a boss. You've always got somebody that is in charge of this or that, whether it's management or some David Coverdale or Ronnie was the boss, but it's every band's been different, and Daisies is back to old school, where we do everything, recording, writing, we do it together. So it's not like I would come up with a riff, some kind of riff, and then say, I've got a whole song, guys, here it is. It wouldn't be like that. I would say, I got this riff, what do you guys think? And if they liked it, we would try and, if somebody says, yeah, that's kind of cool, and then somebody else would jump in with an idea on it, and somebody else would say, well, it could have a melody like this. And that's how we kind of write old school. And then we go straight in the studio and record together in one time. And that's different too. So it's been great. And it's definitely, it's exceeding my expectations.
What were your expectations when you joined?
I didn't know. I kind of was, they said, we're going to make a new record and do a tour. We want you to be a part of it from the get-go. And that record took off really well. make some noise, and then we've just gone from there. We did the live record and then Burn It Down, and we've got some surprises coming up in the future, and a lot of touring, working it, and we really believe that it's one show and one person at a time that we would gain our fans, and it takes a lot of work, but we're doing good, so we don't mind doing that work. It's like if you were just getting beat up and you weren't getting any result, it would be difficult, but we are making new friends everywhere we go, and that's been good.
Now, you were instrumental in bringing Deen into the band. Can you tell us how that came about?
I could say make up some story, but all I did was I said, they said, what do you think about Deen? And I said, Deen's great. I just did a record with him, this Revolution Saints record, and he's doing really well, and he's in great shape, good health, and he would be awesome. But in a situation like this, you never really want to put any pressure, because sometimes when you if I said that, we got to get Deen, maybe someone would go, he's pushing a little too hard. So I just said, Deen's great. You guys talk to him and the management, and if you feel comfortable, I would love it, But and they met him. They flew him to New York where we were writing, and they met him, and they were like, he's the guy. And he came in, and Journey is a different bag, and Revolution Saints that I know him from is a different bag, and then what he'd done before is different. With this record, we wanted to go really simple, really kind of heavy in 70s, and Deen heard some of the basic riffs, and he's like, man, I know exactly what you guys want, So he was very confident, and we had a lot of fun. He's a good dude.
And you mentioned Revolution Saints there. Do you have any more plans for that?
We've talked about it, yeah. There's talk of a third record that we could do. I just want us to play and do a little tour or something to make it a little bit more legitimate as a project. Even though it's a project, let's say, a project band, it's something that is important, I think, to go play for the people that bought the record,
Yeah.
So I would like to see that happen if we were to do a third one, and we're talking about it. It's just a matter of now scheduling and stuff. Now I've got another thing that I'm just finishing up. It's been a pet project of mine for a long time, and it's called Burning Rain, and it's with a singer called Keith St. John, and he and I started doing these records in 1998, and we did a record that was specifically for Japan, and then we did another record for Japan and Europe, and eventually it got re-released together when we did our third record for Frontiers. They re-released the entire catalog on Frontiers, and so it's on Spotify and stuff, so people could check it out. But we have a fourth record that's almost done, and it'll come out next year. And the Dead Daisies that's my priority. That's my day job. That you always have to have a priority, I think. And but when there is time off, I would really like to see Burning Rain come and do some shows. We've got some offers, so if we've got the time off from Dead Daisies, we'll do that.
Now, you're obviously a very well-respected guitarist, but who do you look up to as your influences?
Well, so many. Everyone from it started off guys like Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page and Richie Blackmore, and eventually, I was really into Aerosmith, Zeppelin, and Deep Purple, Clapton, Hendrix, Jeff Beck, as I said. But then some guys, started coming out. I started finding out guys like Pat Travers was a guy from Canada, and then Michael Schenker I found out about. Somebody said, do you know who UFO is? And I did not know who that was. But when I heard Michael Schenker play, I was like, this guy is insane. And I really loved his playing. And then then Eddie Van Halen came out and pretty much blew everybody away, just how with his whole thing. It was amazing. And then Randy Rhoads, Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I loved the Allman Brothers when I was a kid, Duane Allman, Diggy Betts, and Pink Floyd, David Gilmour. There's so many, Tony Iommi. But I would say the number one that I've listened to the most probably over the years has been Jimmy Page, because just Zeppelin, it's just, I love it. You know, it's just that band that had it all. They had everything, and Jimmy had it all. I mean, he might have. There's always guys that are better than you. There's always people that are different or whatever. But you put the whole package together, and Jimmy Page really was like, he really had it going on. His image, his writing, his mystery about him, and of course his playing. You know, he was great.
Do you have a top tip for aspiring rock guitarists?
Top advice?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say to have fun first of all, and play from your heart, and you know, don't try and copy a certain trend. Don't try and chase something, because when you're chasing something, you are never going to catch it. It's always ahead of you. But if you just play what's in your heart and go with what you like, and especially older influences are really good, you can pull those and blend those into something new. Instead of, what I mean by that is, like, if there's a band, like a lot of right now there's a band called Greta Van Fleet, and a lot of people are like, wow, that's really cool, you know. So there probably are some bands getting together and saying, hey, let's do that. And I think that's cool, but you got to go deeper, where bands like Greta Van Fleet got their influence and use those guys, which may have been Zeppelin, or it may have been before that. It may have been Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters. But so I would say find your own path and have fun. That's the most important thing. That's why I started playing guitar, was because it was fun. We didn't have, when I was a kid, we didn't have, you know, video games and all that stuff. I think there was like the tennis thing where it had the two. But yeah, so have fun with it. It's really, it's amazing that a lot of kids are coming back to guitar because they realize that it's pretty cool to figure out how a riff is played, or how, you know, I'll never forget the first time I learned a bar chord. Like, I knew the chords down here at the nut, but then when somebody said, well, you could play that up here, and I'm like, how? And they said, well, just take that E chord and move it up, and then put your finger across, and that's a bar chord. And I was like, oh my God, that's unbelievable. That like opened up everything, you know? And then somebody showed me the basic scale. You know, this is like, okay, Doug, this is the rock scale. When people are playing in a solo, when the riff goes, well, in G, and then they would play, and I found, you know, they showed me the scale, and I was blown away. That's unbelievable. All the licks and the riffs and runs that you can do from that particular scale. So it's really fun. That's what it's about.
Do you have a Dead Daisies riff that particularly stands out to you as a favourite?
There's a few. There's probably, if I had to pick, I really like, on the new record, I like Can't Take It With You, because I really love these kind of, I call them stabby riffs. Like if I come up with it's like, it's kind of stabby. You Can't Take It With You from the new record is that's I really like that, because it's got that stabby thing to it and makes a noise. We were just talking about a simple riff that was catchy, and that you could basically be in an arena or something, or a festival like here, and play a simple riff, and people would be able to remember it. So I was just messing around, and just went, and then kind of went from there. And it just kind of evolved into the riff. And same thing with Dead Daisies I'll tell you one thing that was a challenge with Dead Daisies. It was very simple, straight ahead rock, and the simpler the better, actually, because that's what people remember the most. So then riffs like on the Burn It Down, What Goes Around Comes Around. It's just very simple. But when you put some distortion on it and it gets heavy, it's really cool.
Now, lastly, looking back on your career, you must have had some amazing experiences. Is there something in particular that stands out as like a favourite memory?
Playing with guys like Dio and Coverdale and Karabi, and working with guys like Deen and I said Burning Rain, Keith St. John is the singer. I've always been really lucky with singers. I worked with Kelly Hansen from Foreigner, he's amazing, and James Christian from House of Lords, and just a bunch of different. I've been very lucky with singers. And my first band was with a singer called Cal Swan, that he was very much into Whitesnake and kind of got me into Whitesnake before they were big in the US. But as far as stage memories, there's been so many. From my very first gig with Ronnie, everything was set to go, and I get on stage and the guitar tech didn't have the wireless set right, and the guitar was off. So it was like, I can't believe it. You know, the first chord, I'm just ready to kill it, and the guitar was off. And I remember it was in Las Vegas, but they fixed it, and we carried on with the shows. That's memorable. And another time with Ronnie in Glasgow, I had heard about playing Glasgow from friends and how important it was. And when I got there, my amp had blown up, so I had to use a rental amp, and it was basically like this, like playing a song like Stand Up and Shout with an amp that didn't have any gain to it. It was very difficult to get through the night. I was pretty bummed. But then, great moments playing with Ronnie and David, and then one of the coolest things was I was on tour with Dio, and we were in Gelsenkirchen, Germany, and playing with we were supporting Deep Purple, and the Scorpions guys came down to hang out with us, and we were sitting backstage, and the tour manager from the Deep Purple came and said, "Hey Doug, Steve Morris wants you." I'm like, what do you mean he wants me? He's on stage right now. He goes, yeah, he wants you to jam if you want. I was like, yeah. So I go, and we just traded off between he and I for about a minute. Seemed like a long time, and then we broke into Smoke on the Water riff, and that was pretty amazing, because that was the first song that I really learned how to play on guitar. Even though I wasn't playing it correctly, that was the first one. So that was pretty cool to play Smoke on the Water with Deep Purple, minus Richie Blackmore, but it was good.
Well, thank you so much for chatting. Make sure you check out the Dead Daisies and come back to Denim